Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. That's who drew me a sword. So today is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna be reading the Jurassic Park novel. Yes, I'm gonna be reading it because it's really good, really good book. Even better than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So, I'm just gonna tell you this contains curse words and gore. So, let's go into it. Let's means in French. Let's go. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go! And it's gonna go pitch black, so I'm just gonna be reading it. So, not just gonna be reading it. I'm just gonna do pitch black. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. I'm gonna be reading the chapter, The Main Road. Rain drummed loudly on the roof of the Land Cruiser. Tim felt the night vision goggles pressing heavily on his forehead. He reached for the knob near his ear and adjusted the intensity. There was a brief phosphorescent flare. And then in the shades of electronic green and black, you could see the Land Cruiser behind, with Dr. Grant and Dr. Malcolm in it. Neat! Dr. Grant was staring out the front windshield toward him. Tim saw him pick up the radio from the dash. There was a burst of static, and then he heard Dr. Grant's voice. "Can you see us back here?" Tim picked up the radio from Ed Regis. "I see you. Everything all right?" "We're fine, Dr. Grant." "Stay in the car." "We will, don't worry." He clicked the radio off. Ed Regis snorted. "It's pouring down rain. Of course we'll stay in the car," he muttered. Tim turned to look at the foliage at the side of the road through the goggles. The foliage was a bright electronic green, and beyond he could see sections of the green grid pattern of the fence. The Land Cruisers were stopped on the downslope of a hill, which must mean they were someplace near the Tyrannosaur area. It would be amazing to see a Tyrannosaur with these night vision goggles. A real thrill. Maybe the Tyrannosaur would come to the fence and look over at them. Tim wondered if its eyes would glow in the dark when he saw them. That would be neat. But he didn't see anything, and eventually he stopped looking. Everyone in the cars felt silent. The rain drummed on the roof of the car. Sheets of water streamed down over the sides of the windows. It was hard for Tim to see out even with the goggles. "How long have we been sitting here?" Malcolm asked. "I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes." "I wonder what the problem is. Maybe a short circuit from the rain." But it happened before the rain really started. There was another silence. In a tense voice, Lex said, "But there is no lightning, right?" She had always been afraid of lightning, and she now sat nervously squeezing her leather mitt in her hands. Dr. Grant said, "What was that?" We didn't quite read that. Just my sister talking. Oh. Tim again scanned the foliage, but saw nothing. Certainly nothing as big as a tyrannosaur. He began to wonder if the tyrannosaurs came out at night. Were they nocturnal animals? Tim wasn't sure if he had ever read that. He had the feeling that tyrannosaurs were all-weather, day or night animals. The time of day didn't matter to a tyrannosaur. The rain continued to pour. Hell of a rain, Ed Regis said. It's really coming down. Lex said, I'm hungry. I know that, Lex, Ed Regis said. But we're stuck here, sweetie. The cars run on electricity and buried cables in the road. Stuck for how long? Until they fix the electricity. Stuck for how long? Until they fix the electricity. Listening to the sound of the rain, Tim felt himself growing sleepy. He yawned and turned to look at the palm trees on the left side of the road. And was startled by a sudden thump as the ground shook. He swung back just in time to catch a glimpse of a dark shape as it swiftly crossed the road between the two cars. Jesus! What was it? It was huge! It was big as a car. Tim, are you there? He picked up the radio. Yes, I'm here. Did you see it, Tim? No, Tim said. I missed it. What the hell was it? Malcolm said. Are you wearing the night vision goggles, Tim? Yes, I'll watch, Tim said. Was it the tyrannosaur? Ed Regis said. I don't think so. It was in the road. But you didn't see it? Ed Regis said. No. Tim felt bad that he had missed seeing the animal. Whatever it was. There was a sudden white crack of lightning, and his night vision goggles flared bright green. He blinked his eyes and started counting. 1,000, 2,000. The thunder crashed, deafeningly loud, and very close. Lex began to cry. Oh no. Take it easy, honey, Ed Regis said. It's just lightning. Tim scanned their side of the road. The rain was coming down hard now, shaking the leaves with hammering drops. It made everything move. Everything seemed alive. He scanned the leaves. He stopped. There was something beyond the leaves. Tim looked up higher, behind the foliage, beyond the fence. He saw a thick body with a pebbled, grainy surface like the bark of a tree. But it wasn't a tree. He continued to look higher, sweeping the goggles upward. He saw the huge head of the Tyrannosaurus just standing there, looking over the fence at the two Land Cruisers. The lightning flashed again, and the big animal rolled its head and bellowed in the glaring light. Then darkness and silence again, and a pounding rain. Tim! Yes, Dr. Grant? You see what it is? Yes, Dr. Grant. Tim has the sense that Dr. Grant was trying to talk in a way that wouldn't upset his sister. What's going on right now? Nothing, Tim said, watching the Tyrannosaur through his night goggles. Just standing on the other side of the road, over the fence. I can't see much from here, Tim. I can see fine, Dr. Grant. It's just standing there. Okay. Lex continued to cry, snuffling. There was another pause. Tim watched the tyrannosaur. The head was huge. The animal looked from one vehicle to another, then back again. It seemed to stare right at Tim. In the goggles, the eyes glowed bright green. Tim felt a chill, but then as he looked down the animal's body, moving down from the massive head and jaws, he saw the smaller, muscular forelimb. It waved in the air, and then it gripped the fence. Jesus Christ! Outrageous said, staring out the window. The greatest predator the world has ever known. The most fearsome attack in human history. Somewhere in the back of his publicist's brain, Ed Regis was still writing copy. But he could see his knees begin to shake uncontrollably, his trousers flapping like flags. Jesus! He was frightened. He didn't want to be here, alone among all the people in the tool cars. Ed Regis knew what a dinosaur attack was like. He knew what happened to people. He had seen the mangled bodies that result from a raptor attack. He could picture it in his mind. And this was Rex! Much, much bigger. Greatest meat eater that ever walked the earth. Jesus! When the tyrannosaur roared, it was terrifying. A scream from some other world. Ed Regis felt spreading warmth in his trousers. He peed in his pants. He was simultaneously embarrassed and terrified. But he knew he had to do something. He couldn't just stay here. He had to do something. Something. His hands were shaking, trembling against the dash. Jesus Christ, he said again. Bad language, Lex said, wagging her finger at him. Tim heard the sound of a door opening. Andy swung his head away from Tyrannosaur. The night vision goggles shrieked laterally, in time to see Ed Regis stepping out through the open door, ducking his head in the rain. Hey, Lex said, where are you going? Ed Regis just turned and ran in the opposite direction from the Tyrannosaur, disappearing into the woods. The door to the Land Cruiser hung open. The paneling was getting wet. He left, Lex said. Where did he go? He left us alone. Shut the door, Tim said, but she had started to scream. He left us! He left us! Tim, what's going on? Tim, what's going on? It was Dr. Grant on the radio. Tim leaned forward and tried to shut the door. From the back seat, he couldn't reach the handle. He looked back at the Tyrannosaur as lightning flashed again, momentarily silhouetting the huge black shape against the white flaring sky. Tim, what's going on? What's happening? He left us! Tim blinked to recover his vision. When he looked again, the Tyrannosaur was standing there, exactly as before, motionless and huge. Rain dripped from its jaws. forelimb gripped the fence. And then Tim realized the Tyrannosaur was holding onto the fence. The fence wasn't electrified anymore. "Let's close the door!" The radio crackled. "Tim! I'm here, Dr. Grant. What's going on?" "We just ran away," Tim said. "He what?" "He ran away. I think he saw that the fence isn't electrified," Tim said. "The fence isn't electrified?" Malcolm said over the radio. "Did he say the fence isn't electrified?" Lex, Tim said. "Close the door." But Lex was screaming, He left us, in a steady monotonous wail. And there was nothing for Tim to do but climb out of the back door into the slashing rain and shut the door for her. Thunder rumbled, and the lightning flashed again. Tim looked up and saw the Tyrannosaur crashing down the cyclone fence with a huge hind limb. "Timmy!" He looked back and slammed the door, the sound lost in the thunderclap. The radio. "Tim, are you there?" He grabbed the radio. "I'm here." He turned to Lex. "Lock the doors. Get in the middle of the car and shut up." Outside, the Tyrannosaur rolled its head and took an awkward step forward. The claws of its feet had caught up in the grid of the flattened fence. Lex saw the animal finally and became silent. Still, she watched with wide eyes. Radio crackled. "Tim!" "Yes, Dr. Grant? Stay in the car. Stay down. Be quiet. Don't move and don't make a noise." "Okay. You should be all right. I don't think it can open the car." "Okay. Just stay quiet so you don't arouse its attention any more than necessary." "Okay." Tim clicked the radio off. "You hear that, Lex?" His sister nodded silently. She never took her eyes off the dinosaur. The Tyrannosaur roared. In the glare of lightning, they saw it pull free of the fence and took a bounding step forward. Now it was standing between the two cars. Tim couldn't see Dr. Grant's car anymore because the huge body blocked his view. The rain ran in rivulets down the pebbled skin of the muscular hind legs. He couldn't see the animal's head, which was high above the roofline. Now it was standing between the two cars. Tim couldn't see Dr. Grant's car anymore because the huge body blocked his view. The rain ran in rivulets down the pebbled skin of the muscular hind legs. He couldn't see the animal's head, which was high above the roofline. The Tyrannosaur moved around the side of the car. It went to the very spot where Tim had gone out of the car, where Ed Regis had gotten out of the car. The animal paused there. The big head ducked down toward the mud. Tim looked back at Dr. Grant and Dr. Malcolm in the rear car. Their faces were tense as they stared forward through the windshield. The huge head raised back up, jaws open, and then stopped by the side windows. In the glare of lightning, they saw the beady, expressionless reptile eye moving in the socket. It was looking in the car. His sister's breath came in ragged, frightened gasps. He reached out and squeezed her arm, hoping she would stay quiet. The dinosaur continued to stare for a long time. Through the side window. Perhaps the dinosaur couldn't really see them, he thought. Finally, the head lifted up, out of view again. "Timmy," Lex whispered. "It's okay," Tim whispered. "I don't think it saw us." He was looking back toward Dr. Grant when a jolting impact rocked the Land Cruiser and shattered the windshield in a spiderweb as the Tyrannosaurus head crashed against the hood of the Land Cruiser. Tim was knocked flat on the seat. The night vision goggles slid off his forehead. He got back up quickly, blinking in the darkness, his mouth warm with blood. "Lex!" He couldn't see her sister anywhere. The Tyrannosaurus stood near the front of the Land Cruiser, his chest moving as it breathed, the forelimbs making clawing movements in the air. "Lex!" Tim whispered. Then he heard her groan. She was lying somewhere on the floor, under the front seat. Then the huge head came down, entirely blocking the shattered windshield. The Tyrannosaur banged again on the front hood of the Land Cruiser. Tim grabbed the seat as the car rocked on its wheels. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to the reading of Jurassic Park, the novel one. Yes, that one. I'm gonna make part 2 of it. So, yeah, because it's really long. This video is 22 minutes and something. No, not 22 minutes, like at least 23 or, yeah, 23, 20. Yeah. Okay, so gonna make a part 2. You already know it. Now I'm gonna talk about the sort of pagan acts, and didn't do an Easter special because here in Czechia there's Easter every day different time. Like